Hello, welcome back to my video diary of my project to build a present for my wife. I thought maybe I'll get it ready for Monday, which is our 41st wedding anniversary, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm recording this after I've recorded all the other stuff, so I know what's coming. But I just wanted to say thank you to those of you who have subscribed, who have clicked the like button, left some comments. It is actually very motivating. It's nice to know that someone's watching. So please drop me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and please follow me along on my journey. As hopefully I make a tea stand for my wife next to her favourite armchair. Just a couple of words before I move on to actually doing something. A dear friend of mine pointed out that I talk too much. I'm very verbose, and he's got a point, but that's me, and I'm sorry. I do tend to ramble off and go off at tangents. I will try to manage it. I don't do it in this video, but for the next ones, I will try to improve. Also, if you see anything that is interesting or something that's not interesting, please just write something in the comments to let me know what I could do better, or what I'm doing well, if anything. And that's it. So I'm being verbose again. So let's get on to it. As they say in YouTube speak, let's get into it. Let's pick up where we left off, or I left off. I've got to turn some of these 2-meter beasties into a bunch of strips like this. I'm going to use my table saw, and I'll be honest, I'm petrified of my table saw. It's very useful. It does a lot of good work, but my God, it's scary as hell. I'm really scared of it, so I have to do it safely. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it using this piece of metal. It's called a thin rip jig. So I'm going to go and set up the table saw, and then I'll show you what this is all about. So what I have is a cheap and cheerful DeWalt job site table saw. It's not refined at all. It's a beast. It's brutal. It cuts like the devil, but it's not, I guess, very precise. But I added to it a couple of days ago a router table. And I'm rather pleased with myself, because inspired of course by YouTube to a certain degree, but I actually made it as a removable, let me see if I can, there you go, a removable addition to the table saw, and it's very space efficient, I think. So well done me. So now let me get the table saw set up for some thin rips. Okay, so let me just very briefly show you this thin strip jig, how it works and what it's about. I got this on I think it was Temu, AliExpress. It's a Chinese special. I love these Chinese retail platforms, I have to say. I found them to be incredibly good value. I know there's a whole thing about whether or not they're just stealing intellectual property. And they are in many cases, but not more and more, not in all cases. And most, you can actually find some really good bargains, very good quality at a very good price. But anyway, so let's show you how it works. Quickly, how a table saw works, because that's what it's the problem it's solving. Usually you've got your fence, which your workpiece runs up against. You've got your blade, which is doing the cutting, and you run your piece. Let's say, I want a piece this thick, so I set my fence, so from here to here is the desired width, lock it down, fire up the table saw and run it through carefully, using a push stick to keep your fingers safe, and that's how it works. Super. But now let me just get that out of the way for a second. Actually, in this case I want to cut strips that are about 3, 4, 5 millimeters thick. Now look at that. This gap here, there's no way I can push something safely through there. Something bad is going to happen. So what you do is first of all you set it to a kind of like a 0 setting on the against the tooth of your blade, not the blade body but the tooth, because these always stand out a bit more. And why on this side? Because you have to take into account the thickness of the blade, the so-called kerf. If I were to, let's say, which I did to be honest the first time, set that to 0, put this up against that, say, oh great, that's 0, super, fantastic. Back this off 3mm, dunk, super, push through. I haven't taken into account the thickness of the blade, and on a 3mm strip, a 2mm thick blade means that actually I end up with a 1mm strip, which is not what I want. So this is why you have to 0 it up against the off-cut side, I guess, of the blade. So that's all nicely zeroed up. And I've got, it's showing 103mm. I know I want a 3mm strip, so back it off to the 100 point, tighten it down, get this in place. Very important, it's this side of the blade. Tighten it up, bring in my workpiece that I want to cut, push it up against this rotating bearing, lock down my fence, fire at the table saw, and I can push through my piece, and I will end up with on here a 3mm strip and the remainder of my workpiece. Now what's brilliant is that to make the next strip, all I have to do is take the remainder, what was left over, put it up against my roller, close up the distance on the fence and push it through again. And then the next time it comes out this side 3mm thinner, open up the fence, put my workpiece in, close up the fence, lock it down and push it through. And I can keep doing this until I run out of wood, basically. And each of those strips will be essentially precisely the same thickness that I set on here. So I got a lot of slats made up, some of them, some more over there, all at various thicknesses. And we are at DEFCON 3 on the pivot scale. You might remember in my previous video at the very beginning I said something like there will be mistakes, there will be pivots, and I will be making changes. Well, we're there already. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so quick, but you know, that's why I love this. It's this, for me, this is the fun. It's the process, it's the problem solving. Of course I care about the final result, but I get the most fun out of getting there. So what's the problem? What's the problem we have to solve and make some decisions? It turns out that my initial thinking the other day that the strips need to be thinner couldn't have been more wrong. The thinner I've made them, it becomes completely impractical. It starts wobbling like crazy. So here are some 3mm ones. If I put them in the vise quickly, tie them down. Look at that. Hopefully you can see. Can you see? I don't know. Yes. I mean, I don't know what that's good for, but beating carpets probably. It's just too flexible. It's flying all over the place. So, and it's down to the thickness of the slats for sure, but also it's about the length. The longer it is, the more it can start wobbling. So I've been playing around a little bit, and I can see 2 or 3 solutions. Solution number 1 is to revert to my original version, which has much thicker strips, and this is actually very rigid. I'll come back to that in a second. Another solution that I've been playing with, and I'm going to put this together as we speak, is to use, I guess, probably some kind of physics. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction comes to mind. But if I do something like this, where are my dowels that I'm now using as the spacing blocks, which by the way in itself is interesting because I actually quite like the aesthetic that this has created, and I think I'm probably going to incorporate it into the final version. What's going on here? Oh, there we go, one down there, one down there. This is very quick and rough just to give you the general idea. But if I pinch it actually in the middle, rather than clamping it all together at the bottom, but in the middle and have something like an hourglass, I'm effectively halving the length of the piece. So it's the pivot point is now much shorter, and I can feel that it is more stable. If I put this in the vise, so I have to keep touching the screen to make sure you can actually see something. Yeah, pretty much you can see. This already I can feel that this is more stable. It's still a bit wobbly, but it is better, and I actually quite like the look of this. The double fan, and using round dowels as the spacers. I think it adds a nice aesthetic. So that's another option, to go with an hourglass. I've also tested the armchair, and I see that actually these are much too long. So in fact it does need to be shorter, and an optimal height is actually something like this, which is good. So what I have done, let me just show you, to take this a little bit further at this stage, is I whacked out my CNC machine, and I've put together a mock-up base, let's say, a mock-up base, just to see how it could possibly work. Stop recording. Stop recording. I'm sorry if this is going to be wobbly, but I've had to go handheld for a minute. So this is kind of what it could possibly look like. Maybe that's a bit better. So here's the base. This is not going to be what it looks like. It's just a quick and rough something to get it standing. Coming up like this with the dowels, round dowels as spacers. I think I can do something interesting with the design on that, and maybe even the material. We'll see. And it's viably stable. I wouldn't be afraid of putting a cup of tea on top of that. I think I still have to find a way to fix the top to those legs, or to that leg, but I think this is a viable option. I'm also going to try and make the hourglass design work. So I might actually end up taking two different versions forward, but we'll see. But I think we're back down to PivotCon 2, maybe even 1. Maybe we've disaster averted. Let's hope so. So I'm going to get back to work, and I'll come back when I've got something interesting to show. Ciao for now. Stop recording.